Hi, I got very excited about a piece of Microsoft software today, which, if you know me, you will find highly unusual because I very rarely get excited about anything Microsoft whatsoever. In fact, I've kept all my Macs running really smoothly over the last few years by keeping everything Microsoft off them. There's plenty of alternatives, programs like LibreOffice and OpenOffice and Apple's Pages will save documents to Word format, for instance, and it's perfectly possible to live a Microsoft free example. And I read today in my newsfeed that Microsoft has released Microsoft Hyperlapse Pro for the Mac. Now, this is a little program that takes vibrations out of the videos, which, of course, was extremely interesting to me, considering I insist on mounting my action cams on the bike, and vibes are the big curse of my life. So I downloaded it. You get a free trial version, and you can upgrade it. I think it's 50 quid. I think it's $50 in the States. So that'll probably translate to 50 quid here or 45 something. I haven't registered it yet for reasons that will become obvious. So I've got three files from the Dazzne saved. I've deleted everything else off the camera because the other day I was going around, the sun actually came out and I hammered around Breeden Hill to do a test shot and to upload it. And in fact, the camera stopped recording when the card was full, even though I had looping set to on. I checked it afterwards and looping was on. I can't quite figure out which setting I've got right in the wrong in the Dazzne because the online guides, for instance, Tech Man's video deals with the firmware version 1.4 and I've got 1.6. And there's this extra car icon appeared on the settings screen that I can't quite figure out. Well, I can't figure it out. Something's wrong, so I'm going to have to delete files off the Dazzne to keep the card clear in future, which isn't too much of a hassle, but it's hardly, set and forget. Anyway, moaning about the Dazzne finished. Back to Microsoft Hyperlapse Pro. I downloaded it. I tried it out. It crashed. I restarted the Mac. I got it to do one file, and I got it to do one file in two formats, 720 and 1080p. I'm only interested in 1080p. I did 720 to see whether it was a memory issue. It's not, I don't think. I think the program is just buggy. Because I did the 720 and then I did the same movie again in 1080 and it appears to work, but the only movie I could get it to work on was a very boring one of going down Tewkesbury High Street and then stopping at the petrol station. So there wasn't much action there at all. The others I had, which actually involved, going along at a pace with quite a few vibes on them, it just choked on every time, whether I set it to 720, whether I restarted the Mac, whether I, whatever I did, it just choked and crashed about 2/3 of the way through. But here we have some of the footage that I got going down Tewkesbury High Street to the petrol station, and we'll run them side by side, I think, so you can see the results for yourself. And here we go. They're not quite exactly in sync. The one on the left is Microsoft, obviously, with the watermark, which disappears when you register the program. I think it's worse. This probably isn't a very fair test, and it did look better on some of the other clips that I had a look at, but which I couldn't save or anything. But it actually introduces this sort of side-to-side wavy stuff at times. And it doesn't look noticeably better. If anything, it looks worse, I think, which is a real shame because it's had some glowing reviews. This isn't a particularly fair test, I must say. I mean, this is the only clip I managed to get it to work on. So, I mean, the fair part of it is it has worked for this bit, but it hasn't worked on any of the others. It just crashed. But look at this, for instance. I think it's worse at the moment. I just wish I could get it to perform on some of the other movies, because there's a strip of go. See there? Yeah. Real shame, really, because it's a really good idea, and it's had some sort of fairly glowing reviews on Windows. You see, that's another option. Is I'm about to partition the hard disk and install Windows 10 on a partition hard disk. I should say this is a late 2000. Thank you, mate. It's a late 2015 iMac with 24 gigs of RAM, so memory really shouldn't be an issue. But look at that. You see, it's definitely worse. So I thought I had a solution there, because I'm struggling with whether I should order the new Juvu X, which is coming out at the moment on November the 17th. And this movie is about to end there. Yeah, the new Juvu X is coming out on November the 17th or thereabouts. And it looks ideal for the bike in that it's got a tiny form factor like the Mobius. If you look at some of the vids I did on the Mobius, you'll see there's many less vibes on those than anything else. Although it's out of date now, the exposure control doesn't work too well compared to the modern stuff. Excellent camera for its day, but now it's distinctly out of date. And they're bringing out a new one, which is presumably going to address all these issues. See, if I did the sensible thing, I'd wait for Tech Moan to review it, because he's much more technically minded than I am, and I'm just, Joe Blow consumer. I'm just interested in whether it works or not. And the reason there's so many less vibes with the Mobius is that it's just so much lighter and smaller than all the others. And this has the same form factor. Look how flat it is. So the centre of gravity is very low, and there's no weight to it anyway. It weighs, a minuscule amount compared to, a GoPro Pro clone like the Dazzne. Well, I'm very fond of the Dazzne. So, again, my thinking is coming round to retiring the Mobius, using the Dazzne as the car cam, and getting this for the bike. Gambling, if I pre-order it, that it is actually going to be considerably better. I dare say Tech Moan is testing one now, because I know they consulted him before they released the Mobius, and he suggested some improvements which they incorporated into its manufacture. And I dare say the same thing's happening again. Bastard. Right, we had to keep a close eye on Tech Moan's feed to see whether he releases a test of the Juvu X before November the 17th. Although I'm extremely tempted just to press the button now, and I'm done with it, to be quite honest. But then I'm an idiot, it's up to you. If you want to be as foolish as me, perhaps, God no, I can't recommend you follow in my footsteps, because I keep on making appalling mistakes, especially over the last couple of years, concerning more or less everything I do. So, but that's the way I'm thinking. It's probably completely wrong. Okay, well that's it. Very disappointed with the Microsoft software. Another thing about it was there's no sound on it. The file it produces doesn't have sound either, so that's another drawback. Okay, that's it. Thanks very much indeed for watching.